So, I realized that I haven't talked about this game in about 3 months. A game that changed the entire course of this channel, my career, and this community, you guys. And that's my game. Hashtag ad, I think. My game released December 4th, 2025, just 3 months ago. It was a single-player stealth action tactical FPS inspired by the likes of Rainbow Six, Splinter Cell, Max Payne, and apparently the entire encyclopedia, the way we got roasted for the amount of dialogue in the game. If you guys haven't had a chance to play it yet, it's actually on sale right now for the Steam Spring Sale at 40% off. It was $20. I genuinely think for the price point we're at, the game is pretty fucking badass. There's 8 levels, comic and 3D cinematics, an awesome player controller, punchy guns, a sick armor and suit, and an art style that blends some realistic visuals with a cel-shaded comic book vibe. It's very unique, and I've had people tell me it looks like Borderlands meets Rainbow Six in terms of that art style, and like, I love that. I love it so much that I'm also giving away 25 keys to people in the Fry Nation community. Good luck to everybody who enters. The way you enter is to follow me on multiple socials, and you earn multiple tickets towards the giveaway. But the truth is, guys, after the release and subsequent patches fixing the issues that cropped up during that launch, I had a moment where I just needed distance from the project. I went 3.5 years working with a small team of guys, working on videos, streaming, while working in Unreal Engine, while trying to balance a real life, a relationship, and all of that, as well as taking an entire project management crash course on how the fuck we're gonna take this and turn it into that. And the truth is, guys, I needed a break. And now that I've been able to actually digest the launch, the post-launch, the review bombing that we saw at launch, the climb back to mostly positive, the amount of negativity that I still see from people still trying to tear us down for trying to make something cool that, you know, it doesn't scam my audience. I've been really able to formulate my thoughts, look at the data, and figure out what it is that we actually did as a small team with a budget that I think most studios would laugh at. I was speaking to an industry colleague the other day, and we were talking about the post-launch of Transience, where we're sitting, are we happy with it? They were asking for advice on their upcoming release, and we just kind of talked about the industry as a whole and where Resurgent, which is my studio, where we fit within that. And I asked them one question because I was just genuinely curious from somebody who is inside the industry, who understands budgets, raising capital. I asked them one question, and that question was, how much do you think we built Transience for? And their answer didn't surprise me in the slightest. They said that they thought that we built that game entirety for $2.5 to $3 million. If you're watching this video now, I want you to do me a favor and leave a comment right now with what you think we genuinely spent to build Transience, because this was their reaction when we told them the number. Right now, budgets are exploding across the industry. You have $250 million budgets, $300 million budgets, you know, even games that are built like an Expedition 33 built for, you know, $30 to $50 million. And, you know, that 30 to 50 is actually starting to sound like it's on the low end. And then you look at Transience, and if you were to guess $1 million, you would be way off. Hell, if you were to guess $500,000, you would still be double the budget that we spent on this fucking game in its entirety to build. We built it for just over $200,000. We were really scrappy with the small budget that we had. We made sure everybody who worked on the project got paid in some capacity. We're not paying $70,000 to $80,000 salaries. That's just not realistic for true indie development. But we made sure that everybody got paid on the project, and that includes everybody from concept artists to like graphic artists to voice actors. We had a fully voice acted campaign with multiple voice actors. We opted to not go the AI route, and we literally sourced, paid for, and got voice actors in the game. And I'm damn proud of that fact. And we did it for a price that I think would genuinely blow a lot of people out of the water. Which, if you guys don't know, and this is based on Steam's own data that they've released over the years, about 8% of games on Steam made over 6 figures in 2025. We more than doubled that. So, you know, top 5% little YouTuber project, cash flow positive within the first year. Yeah. And what's even crazier is around 40% of the games that released on Steam in 2025 still haven't recouped their $100 submission. Let that sink in. So not only did we get the knowledge of game development and going through that process and going through prototyping, pre-production, concepting, and doing the entire thing, getting to launch, shipping a product while holding a 70% positive review score on Steam. We can then take all of that knowledge and walk into a publisher, walk into an investment firm, walk into wherever we want to raise capital for the next project and go, hey, we have the knowledge, we have the know-how, we've been here. We also learned a hell of a lot about project management, scope, the way these engines work. We also created engine tools, trigger systems, player controllers. All of this stuff that we built for this one can be reutilized into future projects to take us from a prototyping stage all the way to a vertical slice to actually get into those conversations. And we can do this again. And so when you talk about data and analytics, our risk aversion for doing a second project is a lot lower now. A lot of people, when we talk to them, the publishers and everything else, we would create a pitch deck, we would talk to them, but because it was our first project, they wanted to see more. And now we can sit here and say, we literally built this game, we self-published, we did it our fucking selves, we went through that process, we made money, and now we can possibly do it again with a more focused development, a more focused and refined scope, with the knowledge of all of the mistakes that we made during the process. If that doesn't scream success in this space, I genuinely don't know what does. Yeah, we didn't sell BattleBit numbers like we were ever going to, making an incredibly niche title. Yeah, we didn't sell Gray Zone Warfare numbers as a single-player stealth action game. We made mistakes, sure. But the problem is, in this game, as a YouTuber, you have to remain humble. You can't you can't give yourself pats on the back, and you can't be proud of anything or else it looks like bragging. I'm gonna pat my team on their backs, man. We fucking did it. We did exactly what we said we wanted to do. Not only did we walk into the lion's den with a community like this that will hold our feet to the fire for every mistake we fucking make, and you guys did. Don't get me wrong, I'm not bitching about it. We knew what we were walking into, which is why we followed it up with so many patches after launch, and we were communicating all that. We wanted to fix the couple core issues that popped up, and then a ton of really minor issues. We changed some of the pacing up. We worked on the AI. Our focus wasn't on the mouth breathers. Our focus was on fixing the issues so that our paying customers have a good experience, which seems to be a little less common nowadays. Maybe I should just blame it on sabotage. That's what people do now, huh? Not only did we walk into that fire, we all stepped into a market that we didn't realize was as fucking dire as it is right now. When you have 40% of games on Steam releasing in a year that don't make over $100, granted, some of that shit is AI slop, some of that shit is asset flip trash, but look how many games are releasing that are actually made from passionate developers who are in it for the love of the game. That's what we did. This video is releasing on the 19th, letting you guys know, hey, these are the numbers. Hey, we made out great. And tomorrow we're meeting up as a team and we're figuring out what we want to do next. And I don't know what that looks like. We have a few concepts in mind. We have a few ideas. There is so much that I learned from this process that I haven't really been able to digest until I took that distance, until I took that space. I've been focusing on making videos, making content, blowing up the Patreon. We've been doing so much that's not focusing on game development. We have a game jam coming up in just a few short weeks. There's other stuff that I'm working on, but there's an itch that I have to scratch. There's so much I learned from that process, and the idea of taking all of that knowledge and starting at a fresh slate, understanding how we can go from that prototyping phase, that pre-production, and taking that to the finish line again. It excites me. It scares me because there are moments during game development that I don't think any gamer will ever truly realize how fucking hard it actually is to make video games. And this is why I fucking roast terrible asset flip scams that get on Steam every day. The entire game development landscape is a fucking dumpster fire. And the fact that we walked out sitting in probably the top 3 to 5% of games in the last 3 years is a fucking miracle. A, for a YouTuber game. B, for a group of people who have never shipped a product at that scale with this many eyes. And the fact is even on top of that, we've gained over 30,000 wish lists just in the last couple of months. Since launch, I think that number is like 35,000. So while we're not viral success, which is what we never set out to do, and I think most people that are fans of the channel, most people that watch the channel understood we weren't chasing trends. We were literally doing the exact opposite. Most of the times we were talking to publishers and we put up our pitch decks, it was very tough to put us in a market, and we got that response from a few different publishers. They couldn't place us in the market, and so that risk goes up because they don't know how well it was going to sell. We also did all this with little to zero creator outreach. I think we sent maybe 30 to 50 keys out at launch to certain creators that had covered us in the past, and a couple other ones that we maybe wanted to tap into. But honestly, man, the marketing spend was zero. The budget was insanely small, considering the budgets that you see for low tier to like mid-tier indie FPSs nowadays. We're a fraction of that. And we came out on the other side of it. Nobody's in debt, nobody is hurting, and we're starting to figure out what we want to do next. Guys, we did it. The one thing that I've taken away from all of it is that there is still so much negativity in the space around this channel. There's still so many people out there that will literally look at the analytics, understand the market that we're in, and still say that somehow we fell short. We did it better than I thought it could ever have gone. The game's 40% off if you guys haven't tried it out already. I urge you to try it. It's something we put a lot of effort into. It's something we put a lot of time into. It's something that I think for most people looking at games on this channel that I cover, the really, really shit ones, I think you can look and say that we built it with passion. You can look and say that we built it with a vision of creating a smaller scoped single player game that is inspired by Rainbow Six, Max Payne, Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell. 8 very distinct levels of fully voice-acted campaign, Steam achievements, a bunch of different collectibles in the game, weapon customization. And with all of that tooling and all of that stuff, now the main goal for us is how do we go from building out a prototype, building out, the GDDs and that pre-production, how do we then take that, get it to a vertical slice, and then shop that around? Talk to a publisher, talk to an investor, try to raise capital in maybe another way. I just want to create cool shit. That's all because of what we did for the last 3.5 years. And I think the fact that I got exposed to just how volatile and brutal one of the most brutal markets to play in, which is why I think I get more frustrated when you see a game like Highguard fall flat on its face, because you're dealing with millions and millions of dollars, people's livelihoods, and you're not focusing on market trends, you're not focusing on the player experience, and you're not focused on your consumer base, which is all we ever wanted to do. I wanted to make a cool game that I could show to this community and say, hey, we built this with your guys' passion in mind. Fuck with us. And although we probably should have marketed the game a little bit better to boost those sales up and be green shortly after launch, I'm genuinely excited for where we're at going into the rest of the year. And wherever our next project takes us, man, I am in a headspace of total creative dominance. That's where I want to be. I will say, ever since last summer, it feels like YouTube has been a very big uphill climb. Something switched in an algorithm. I watched the views tank overnight. I've been trying to climb back out of it. I've been trying to focus more on the projects that I genuinely give a shit about, the Road to Vostoks, the Gray Zone Warfares, the Hell Let Loose Vietnams, the War Dogs. We have a plethora of great shooters either out, upcoming, on the horizon, or in the near future that I'm super, super hyped about. And it's so funny, now that I've gone through the process, I understand even more so how hard it is to deliver some of these experiences. And so when I give the props to these studios, I'm watching the tide shift in the comments where people are now starting to say that I've gone soft. Oh, Fry's a game dev now. He's being a lot softer on these developers. He's pulling his punches. No, I just know now from firsthand experience how insanely incomprehensible delivering an experience like Gray Zone Warfare is, how challenging a game like War Dogs is to bring to the market. because there's a lot of technical challenges that go into that I can't even fathom with the knowledge that I've already gained. I look at a game like, well, recently with Incursion Red River. To watch those guys go for development for, I think, 4 years and then go into early access for another 2 now, the battle of attrition that those developers and that small team is going through, I know that feeling. Side note, we actually have an interview with the Incursion Red River dev and their community manager on the Push to Talk podcast, dropping everywhere tomorrow. And that's another thing. If you guys watch the Push to Talk podcast, you know that entire concept came from Patreon, which came from the bullshit that YouTube's been doing. But what we've been doing with that show is interviewing developers and getting into the nitty-gritty of the game development journey. And so for me, I think my entire outlook has both cemented the fact that I think these asset flip scamming piece of shit developers should leave the industry and give up. Genuinely, I think you should give up. If you're selling an asset flip, like the demos that are in the video that I dropped the other day for $20 on Steam, $10 on Steam, if those games are going out, they should genuinely quit. I fully fucking believe that, because there's no passion there. There's no vision. There's just people out there trying to pretend to be game developers. My stance on that, I've fucking tripled, quadrupled down on it. Fuck those people. But when I look at like a Gray Zone Warfare, and it's so easy to critique so many things about Gray Zone Warfare, the way their AI tank shots, the way their map design is laid out, the way the tasks are laid out, all of those things are super easy to critique. But behind closed doors, I know at least a fraction of what a company like Madfinger Games is going through to bring that game to the market and to continue battling through that early access battle of attrition. So yeah, I've earned a newfound respect for so many different developers in the space. I've also learned that the gap between consumer and developer is wider than ever. There is a knowledge base that I don't expect consumers to ever understand or want to understand, but I also understand that as that gap widens, the friction between both consumer and developer is going to get worse. The negativity that people are seeing for games like Highguard or even Marathon recently is going to get worse. And so the one thing that I will pledge to you guys is, as we enter this new phase where potentially we're going to be working on a new project, I definitely want to be communicative in how that development is actually shaping up a lot better than what I did with Transience. Transience was just tough, man. I was balancing so many different things. And in my opinion, we announced Transience too early, and then I was pressured into creating devlogs as people were asking, well, where's this update? Where's Transience? How's it going there? We were inundated daily. With this next project, you guys probably aren't going to hear about it for a while until we are ready to show something concrete that we can then get into the nitty-gritty of how we got there. I'm in a very healthy headspace. I had a comment, I'll put it up on screen here. This was asked just literally today on my Gray Zone Warfare video. Somebody was asking if I'm happy with where the game currently is at, where the project is. Am I happy with how it turned out? Dude, yeah. Not only do we have a 70% positive review score even through the review bombing, we're cash flow positive and in the green within the first year, something most indie devs literally couldn't dream of. That how blessed are we to be in that position for our first title ever? And like, I'm stressing, like, you know, you hear of a new studio coming out with a bunch of industry veterans and it's their first game. No, this was literally our first fucking video game ever. Yeah, I'm pretty happy. I have learned so much that I want to apply to future projects with the community in mind on delivering something that I think could be really, really fucking cool. And for the ones who are still trying to tear us down, literally still to this day, there's people like watching the negative reviews and upvoting them. If that's not enough of a W for you, if you're not happy with that, I'm sorry I didn't fail to your expectations. Ladies and gentlemen, our game right now is available on Steam, 40% off. The Steam Spring Sale is now live. You guys can go. The link is going to be down in the description and the top pinned comment. Hashtag ad, hashtag FTC compliant. And if you still think that's too expensive, join the giveaway. You might win a copy over there as well for completely free. My name is Big Fry. Leave a like on the video and subscribe for the next chapter of this journey. It's about to be crazy. I appreciate you guys watching. Join the Dev Jam. If you guys are an indie developer in this community, go to itch.io. That link will also be in the description. Join that Dev Jam. It starts April 3rd. It's a 7-day jam. Get in the Discord. It's going to be fucking awesome. I want to create, and that's where we're at. 20 minutes of rambling. If you made it this far in the video, use the keyword victorious in your comment. That lets me know you guys made it to the end of the video. As always, my name is Big Fry. Shout out to the Fry Nation. You guys are the reason and the inspiration for why I do what I do. And I'll see you on the next one.